On the 30th day of the fight, Chloe kissed her ex-boyfriend right in front of me. I had already quietly put in a transfer request with my boss to our branch office 1,000 miles away in Portland. Her friends cheered and clapped. "Ethan, you're about to lose your girl. Better start growling." I walked over, pulled her aside, and said a sincere, "I'm sorry." She looked down at me, a triumphant smirk on her face. "Fine, I forgive you. Pack your bags tomorrow. We're going to meet my parents." I forced a smile and agreed. She had no idea I was leaving for Portland tonight. For 30 days, Chloe Vance had given me the silent treatment. Then tonight, she sent me an address for a bonfire party in the Marine Headlands with a simple command: "Be here." I could hear the whooping and hollering as I got close. In the middle of the crowd, Chloe stood up, pulling her old flame, Dylan Shaw, to the center of the circle. They looked at each other for a moment before she wrapped her arms around his neck and kissed him. The crowd erupted, everyone clapping and whistling. One of her friends spotted me and laughed. "Ethan, you're about to lose your girl to another guy. Better do something." Another one chimed in. "Everyone knows you chased her for 8 years before she finally said yes. You really willing to let her go that easily?" It was already 8:00. Chloe's hand was still resting on Dylan's shoulder as she turned to look at me. In front of everyone, I took her hand from his shoulder and said, earnestly, "I'm sorry. Even though I wasn't the one in the wrong, but I've been through this scene 1,000 times before. Anything I said or did that made Chloe angry was by definition wrong. The reason never mattered." Chloe looked down, her eyes unreadable, and said nothing. She wasn't satisfied. I met her gaze, took a deep breath, and dropped to one knee. "I'm sorry," I said, my voice loud and clear. Her friends started playing mediators. "Come on, Chloe. A man's pride is in his knees. You should probably forgive him." "Yeah, I bet he won't dare to piss you off again." Only then did the corner of Chloe's mouth twitch into a slight smile. "Fine. I forgive you. We'll pack our bags later and go see my parents." I didn't ask what she meant by that. I just nodded enthusiastically. After she walked away, still holding Dylan's hand, I slowly pushed myself back to my feet. The group was sitting on the ground around the fire, laughing and talking. Chloe was leaning against Dylan's shoulder, a bright smile on her face as she waved me over. Maybe she noticed the look on my face because she offered an explanation. "We're just really good friends, practically like siblings." She gestured between herself and Dylan. "It was just a kiss, that's all. There are no feelings there. You're still the one I love." She said it with such confidence as if she were certain I couldn't possibly get angry, and she was right. In all our time together, I'd never once lost my temper. I let her hurt me again and again, all because of the bond we shared growing up. Tonight, though, I finally understood. She wasn't the girl I first met all those years ago. That afternoon, when I requested the transfer to the Portland office, my boss and friend Mark Riley was so shocked he signed his name in the wrong spot on a contract. "Are you sure about this? You want to cash out your equity and use it to fund the Portland expansion yourself?" he'd asked, dumbfounded. "Portland's a backwater compared to this. It's a total gamble whether it will even succeed, and you're going to move so far away. Is Chloe okay with this?" I slid the transfer application across his desk. I made up my mind. I'm not changing it. As for Chloe, she didn't matter anymore. We broke up. "What?" Mark was completely floored. "Yeah. 30 days of radio silence. As far as I'm concerned, we're done, because yesterday I'd seen all on TikTok. Dylan Shaw was back in the country. On the very first day of our fight, Chloe had gone to the airport to pick him up. In just 30 days, they had traveled all over the West Coast, posting videos of themselves in tight embraces at every scenic viewpoint. Dylan had posted every single one. His followers went wild, gushing about how he'd made them believe in love again. Chloe had only responded to the comments with a single blushing emoji. She never denied a thing. In the last video, Dylan had asked her with a smile, "So, you want to get married?" She was curled up his arms and shook her head. "No, I have a more suitable person in mind for marriage." She'd said, "He's gentle, obedient, good-tempered, and he even does all the housework, a perfect family man. As for you, you could just continue your journey of freedom." It was the first time in all the years I'd known her that I'd ever seen her be so considerate of someone else. Chloe and I had known each other since we were kids. The first time I saw her, she was in a t-shirt and overalls dragging a heavy bag of groceries. Her face was smudged with dirt, but her eyes were bright and captivating. On some strange impulse, I walked over with my own suitcase and asked her, "Need a hand?" She didn't stand on ceremony. She looked me up and down, decided I was trustworthy, and handed me the groceries while taking my suitcase in return. It wasn't until we got to our destination that I realized she was also moving to the small valley town to live with her grandma. But I was there because my parents had passed away. She was there because hers were too busy with work to take care of her. And as it happened, I was a year older. Little by little, I started looking out for her. Later, when she got in my high school, I realized my feelings for her and began leaving her little gifts, paying attention to her every word and move. Everyone knew I was in love with her. I watched her date someone else for a while, then saw it end for reasons I never knew. After high school graduation, I finally told her how I felt. Just like that, we were together for nearly 10 years. In my eyes, she was still that same vibrant, lively girl, just a little immature, a little thoughtless. It didn't matter. I was willing to indulge her until she started crossing more and more lines. One time, a female colleague of mine fainted from exhaustion at the office after hours. I found her, called an ambulance, and helped out until things were stable. Chloe found out from a friend who worked as a nurse that I'd been at the hospital with another woman, and she stormed in screaming at me. When my colleague tried to defend me, Chloe called her a but we were completely innocent. I was just helping get her settled until her husband arrived, which he was already on his way to do. When Chloe saw the husband, she just scoffed. "Your wife is hooking up with my boyfriend," she said, then stormed out. Luckily, the husband didn't believe her and just thanked me repeatedly. When I finished up and tried to call Chloe, I found she blocked me. I went home to find she'd moved all her things into the spare bedroom. I wrote her letter after letter, which she tore to shreds and threw back at me. I cooked her favorite meals and she threw them out. When she was hungry, she'd order from DoorDash and leave the trash by the door for me to clean up. No matter what, she refused to speak to me. Then she forced me to stay in a hotel, saying she couldn't stand the sight of me and that I needed to go reflect on what I'd done before I could come home. Thinking back on it now, I shook my head. She didn't want me to reflect. She just wanted me out of the way so I wouldn't interfere with her reunion tour with her first love. Leaving San Francisco would be hard. I admitted there were things I'd miss. But I also knew the business here was mature with or without me. As long as there were no major disasters, it would run just fine. Portland was different. It was a semi-developed market. Going there would be a chance to build something new to prove my own value again. Besides, Mark was basically handing me the entire Portland branch. My thoughts returned to the present. Chloe's friends are now telling me not to be so petty. Seriously, they're just like siblings. If there was really something going on, she'd be taking him home to meet her parents, not you. I looked at the tight circle they formed around the fire. There was clearly no space for me. As if sensing this, Chloe called out for everyone to scoot over and make room. They shifted reluctantly, leaving a tiny gap. I'm a tall guy. It was nowhere near enough space. Chloe didn't seem care. She patted the ground behind her. Sit down. So what if it's a little tight? As long as you can see, it's fine. With that, she turned back, opened a bag of chips, and fed one to Dylan, not sparing me another glance. Someone spoke up. Dylan, I hear you've been traveling the world. What made you decide to come back? Dylan smiled, taking Chloe's hand in his to see who the girl I used to love ended up marrying, of course. As he spoke, his eyes and then everyone else's landed on me. The meaning was clear. I scanned a circle of faces but said nothing. Chloe was not pleased. She shot me a look of pure annoyance. What? You can't even say a single reassuring word. I sighed, about to say something just to keep the peace, but Dylan cut me off. Hey, forget it, man. We're all guys here. I get it. He clapped his hands together. I'm sure he's planning on treating Chloe right. I get it. Chloe's eyes filled with disappointment. She ignored me for the rest of the evening. They grilled burgers and hot dogs, listening as Dylan recounted his adventures. He'd sold handmade leather bracelets on the street. He'd invested some money and started a business. In the end, he'd taken the $50,000 he earned and donated it all to charity. Now, he was a content creator with 2 million followers across his platforms. Everyone thought he was so brave, so willing to try new things. He was beaming with pride. Of course, I'm not one of those timid people who are afraid to be independent. You have to try a little of everything to know what you really want. Chloe was looking at him with pure admiration. I stayed silent, mentally counting down the minutes, trying to figure out how to make my escape. I don't know when, but Dylan's gaze fell on me again, a mocking glint in his eyes. So, Ethan, my mom, when are you planning on starting your own company so Chloe can be a CEO's wife? Right. I never told Chloe that I was a founding partner in my company with a full 30% equity stake. Mark put up the capital and I provided the technical expertise. Technically, I was a boss. I just preferred to avoid the corporate decision-making, leaving most of it to Mark. I was content to call him Mr. Riley and act like his subordinate. In Chloe's eyes, I was just another worker, be collecting a fixed monthly salary. Chloe let out a sharp T. Forget it, she said dismissively. He's destined to be a wage slave for life. Counting on him is like waiting for money to fall from the sky. You'd have better luck asking him how to avoid getting fired. The group burst into laughter. Energized by the attention, Chloe launched into a collection of my most embarrassing moments. She told them about the time I fell into a muddy ditch protecting her, the time I practically begged her on my knees to eat breakfast. How was she called? I had to drop everything and run, or I wouldn't be allowed back in the house. Everyone was howling. Damn, Ethan, you've been a S since day one. Chloe, you've really got him trained well. I clenched my jaw and took a hard swallow of my beer. Those are just cheap tricks. Nothing I'd be impressed by. The chatter died for a second. Ethan, you don't have to say that just to save face. Someone said, there's nothing wrong with having a job. You just stay poor your whole life. That's all. Phil didn't take me seriously. Just scoffed. Oh yeah, let's hear it. What world-shattering things have you done? Maybe you grew up and filled in that muddy ditch. Ha. Ha ha. A few people laughed along with him. I looked at the group and slowly named a breakthrough pharmaceutical compound that had played a massive role during the CO-19 pandemic. The clearing fell silent for a moment. Are you saying you're partly responsible for ending the pandemic faster? One of them asked incredulously. You really know how to flatter yourself. If that were true, you'd be rich by now. You wouldn't be wearing that cheap jacket. He was right. Based on the profits, I should have been rich long ago. But old habits from my country upbringing died hard. Even Chloe didn't know about it. Her face darkened. All right, that's enough bragging. The moment she spoke, everyone relaxed. See? Chloe said it. Ethan's just full of it. But I kept my eyes on Dylan. Then, can you tell me what kind of material you use for your leather bracelets? How long does it take to set the dye? As for your investments, what exactly did you invest in? And you said you donated a charity. Which one? Dylan's stories were full of holes, pinned down by my questions. He was speechless. Finally, he flushed with anger. None of your business. Chloe, what's with your boyfriend? Is he interrogating me? I came here to have a good time, not to be cross-examined. As he spoke, his face grew darker. Chloe, terrified, immediately started soothing him, then shot me a cold glare. Apologize. The others chimed in. Yeah, hurry up and apologize. You pissed Dylan off, and now Chloe has to fix it. Was it really necessary? I let out a cold laugh and said nothing. I glanced at my phone. 3 hours until takeoff. With everyone's eyes on me, I stood up. I've got something to do. I'm heading out. Chloe caught up to me just as I was opening my car door, blocking my way. Ethan, are you trying to start a fight tonight? Now everyone's miserable. She grabbed my hand and tried to pull me back toward the fire. Come back with me and apologize. If you don't, I'm not taking you to see my parents tomorrow. I shook her hand off, my voice flat. Why should I? They were the ones talking trash. Why didn't you think to have them apologize to me first? Chloe frowned. Her patience is gone. They were just joking. If you don't like it, we'll be more careful next time. Even now, she was still on her side. Whatever, she sighed. Just go home and pack our bags. We'll leave tomorrow afternoon. I grunted in what could have been agreement. She visibly relaxed. Come pick me up later. I'll call you. I clutched the plane ticket in my pocket and smiled. Okay. Her worries eased. She smiled and ran back to the party. I waited until I saw her sit down, then started the car and drove straight for the airport. Looking at Chloe's contact on my phone, I hesitated for a long time before finally blocking and deleting her number. She was in San Francisco. I was going to Portland. From now on, we would never see each other again. After it was done, I rolled down the window and let the cold wind rush in. I took a deep breath, and for the first time in a long time, it tasted like freedom. When I got to the airport, I popped out my SIM card and threw in a trash can. Good riddance. When Dylan dropped Chloe off at home, she was still drunk. The apartment was dark and empty, but she didn't notice. It took Dylan fumbling around for a minute to find the light switch. He helped her onto the sofa and looked around. Chloe, where's your kitchen? Chloe didn't hear him. She was mumbling a name. Ethan, give me some water. There was no response. A strange, unsettling feeling pricked at her. A flicker of panic. Dylan complained. What's with Ethan? Did he just fall asleep? Forget him. I'll get you some water. He stood up and started looking for the kitchen. Chloe's unease subsided, replaced by a surge of anger. Unbelievable, she muttered, her gaze falling on the coffee table. There was usually a vase of fresh flowers there, something I brought home every day. Now it was empty. She didn't think much of it. Maybe since I hadn't been home for 30 days. The old ones had wilted and been thrown out. Dylan came back with a glass of water, but Chloe took one sip and pushed it away, refusing to drink any more. Even drunk, she would only drink grapefruit seltzer. It was a little habit only I knew. Dylan didn't, and Chloe didn't notice. For some reason, she missed me terribly. Dylan sat next to her and asked if she wanted to go to her room. She waved him off, slurring, I can do it myself. He frowned, looking concerned like this. I don't feel right leaving you. I have Ethan. The words, shut Dylan up immediately. Chloe forced herself to stand and stumbled upstairs, shooing him out of the house. She went straight to my room and opened the door only to find it completely empty. It looked as if no one had ever lived there. The alcohol vanished from her system in an instant. Her hand on the door knob began to tremble. Didn't he agree to meet my parents? She ran to my home office, my workshop. Everything was gone. The kitchen, the study, the small balcony. There was no trace of me anywhere. Her heart started hammering against her ribs. She fumbled with her phone, her fingers clumsy as she tried several times to dial my number. It rang and rang, then went to voicemail. Tears started streaming down her face. She called my grandma. Her phone picked up quickly. After listening to Chloe's frantic questions, my grandma sighed. My boy went to Portland, honey. He'll only be back for the holidays to visit me now. Clatter. The phone slipped from her hand and hit the floor. Chloe's expression was blank, but tears flowed freely, her chest heaving with ragged breaths. "No, that's impossible. Impossible, my grandma." Not understanding, continued. "Why is it impossible? You weren't good to my grandson, so of course he was going to leave, and from now on you don't need to call me either." Chloe didn't speak, just sobbed. My grandma quickly hung up, all the strength drained from Chloe's body, and she collapsed against the balcony doorframe. Looking back now, all the signs were there. She had taken my love for granted, betraying me time and time again. Tonight, she had even kissed another man right in front of me. The reality that I was truly gone hit her, and she began to wail. She cried until she was exhausted and fell asleep right there on the floor. The next morning, Chloe was woken by her ringing phone. She groggy answered it. It was her parents. "Hello, honey. When are you bringing him home?" Chloe felt the tears coming again. "Mom, there's no him anymore. He went to Portland. He said he's never coming back." Her mother didn't sound surprised, just sighed. "I told you not to mess around with shady people. Well, now you see. Since it's come to this, don't even think about chasing after him. Just focus on your job." Then she added, "It's time he got back to being himself." Chloe's eyes turned red, and she felt a fresh wave of self-pity. "So, you knew he was going to leave me, didn't you? Why didn't you tell me sooner?" Her mother sounded exasperated. "I don't even know him. I know you. With the way you flirt with everyone, it was only a matter of time before he left. Spend more time reflecting on yourself and less time blaming others." Chloe lowered her head, clutching the phone tightly, and didn't argue. Her mother sighed, gave her a few more instructions, and hung up. In the days that followed, Chloe reined in her emotions. In a shocking turn of events, she started waking up early and going to work at her family's company every day, as if she were trying to turn over a new leaf. Someone reported this to her mother, asking if she needed any special treatment. Her mother shook her head and insisted they be even stricter with her. Chloe never noticed until one day, just as she stepped out of the elevator, the world went black and she collapsed on the floor. Her mother was terrified. On the way to the hospital, she kept wondering if she had been too hard on her daughter. After a series of tests, the doctor told them Chloe needed to rest. She had fainted from a combination of exhaustion and low blood sugar. Her mother sighed. Without me, Chloe couldn't even take care of herself. When Chloe opened her eyes, she instinctively looked around the room. No one was there. The door swung open, and for a fleeting second, her eyes lit up. But it was just her mother carrying lunch. "What? Not happy to see me?" Chloe forced a weak smile and shook her head. Her mother didn't press, just set out the containers of takeout on the tray in front of her. Chloe took one bite and put her fork down. She couldn't eat. The food from these places was nothing like mine. Of course not. To take care of her properly, I had learned every nuance of her tastes. She only ate thick-cut noodles. Her sweet and sour ribs had to be extra sweet. In the morning, only milk or soy milk sweetened in the summer and warm to exactly 113 degrees in the winter. Chloe probably didn't even know these things about herself. After a few more failed attempts to eat, she stared blankly into space. "Mom, I miss Ethan so much." Her mother looked helpless. "Well, I can't exactly force him to come back. You need to find a way to move on." Chloe fell silent and laid back down. Might as well sleep, she thought. It was only in her dreams that she could see Ethan now. Meanwhile, my work in Portland was going smoothly. As a newcomer, it took a few months of navigating city government and local businesses, but I finally secured the commercial rights to a prime piece of land downtown. My timing was perfect. I'd arrived just as the city council was launching a major economic development initiative. I decided to build a large-scale organic supermarket on the plot. Once the idea was green-lit, I handed it over to my design team. Wendy, the brilliant intern from our early days, had become my most capable subordinate. At lunchtime, she brought a meal into my office. "Mr. Cole, time to eat." I grunted in acknowledgement, gesturing for her to leave it on the desk, but I was surprised to see she was also carrying a huge bouquet of flowers. I frowned. "Do I still get these?" When he looked uneasy, a woman insisted I give them to you. She said you had to take them, that there was an important message for you inside. I couldn't think of any important people I knew here. I waved my hand dismissively, about to tell her toss them. Wendy spoke quickly. "Her name is Chloe Vance." The tip of my pen froze, nearly smearing the document I was signing. I was silent for a moment. "Leave them." Wendy let out a breath of relief, set the flowers down, and quickly left the room. The bouquet was beautiful, made of white magnolia, a symbol of loyalty. The irony was suffocating. She couldn't possibly think this would prove her fidelity. Still, my hand reached for the card. On it was an invitation to have dinner with her at a rooftop restaurant. I had no intention of going. I'd already made plans with another friend for the evening. I just didn't expect Chloe to have already gotten my friend. He led me straight to the restaurant Chloe had booked. I shot him a death glare. He just held up his hands apologetically, pointed toward the front, and then beat a hasty retreat. Chloe walked toward me holding another bouquet. "I'm sorry. I knew you wouldn't come, so I had to use some unfair tactics. Your friend is innocent." I tricked him. My face was a stone mask. I just wanted to leave. Chloe's expression turned pained, and she pressed a hand to her stomach. "My stomach is acting up again. Please just stay with me for a little while. Think of it as a good deed." My heart felt like ice, but in the end, I gave in. The meal was silent. She used to be the one who would chatter endlessly at the dinner table, telling me about her day while I peeled shrimp for her and smiled along. Looking back now, there was a certain warmth to those memories. As if sensing my thoughts, she started talking about what she'd been doing. She said she'd finally started contributing to her family's company. She'd recently managed a project, done a great job, and made her parents very happy. I just nodded, focusing on cutting the steak on my plate. When she saw I wasn't going to respond, she fell silent again. The meal was over in less than 30 minutes. The pianist in the corner hadn't even finished his set. After dinner, I asked her when she was heading back. She gently dabbed her lips with a napkin. "Why don't you ask how long I'm staying?" It didn't matter. Suddenly, a massive fireworks display erupted outside. Chloe's eyes sparkled as she turned to the window. "Look, isn't it beautiful? You used to be the one surprising me. Now, I want to do something for you." My indifference hardened into a cold wall. Fireworks are the one thing in this world I hate most. My parents, when a police officer, the other firefighter, had been responding to the same call. The criminal was a madman. Without a second thought, he detonated an entire floor of explosives. That's how my parents died. The department was worried I'd be too traumatized. So they arranged for grief counseling before finding my grandma and sending me to live with her. Chloe's mouth fell open. She was speechless. I could see on her face she remembered. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I forgot. It's okay. I have another surprise." "Forget it." I cut her off and stood up to leave. Chloe panicked, scrambling out of her chair to catch up. She followed me, repeating, "I'm sorry," over and over. She said she was only here on business and would be leaving in a few days. She said she just wanted to see me. I was so worn down by her that I finally agreed to a short walk outside. Come to think of it, I hadn't really explored Portland much since I arrived. The restaurant was on a busy commercial street, bustling with people. At some point, Chloe raised her phone and pulled me in for a selfie. I instinctively tried to pull away. Click. Too late. She leaned in, showing me the screen. "Don't we look great?" I glanced at it but didn't care. Chloe continued. "You know, this is our first picture together." She paused, and I let out a short, bitter laugh. So, she did know. In 10 years of dating, I had tried countless times to get us to take photos together like other couples. But Chloe always had an excuse. She was too busy. The lighting was bad, but she had no problem filming an entire travel series with Dylan, tirelessly posing for the camera. I said mockingly, "It's fine. You have plenty of pictures with Dylan." I pulled out my phone and played one of the TikTok videos for her. "See, they're really nice." The color drained from Chloe's face. Her hand trembled as she reached for my phone, but I pulled it away. When she looked up at me, her eyes were filled with panic. Finally, she just grabbed the corner of my jacket. "It's not like that," she pleaded. "I wasn't thinking straight. Please believe me." I watched as her eyes grew redder, her expression turning to one of pure desperation. "Say something. Just please don't ignore me." I scoffed, pocketed my phone, my voice as calm as still water. "You and I should have been over a long time ago. I've indulged you long enough tonight. Goodbye." Chloe didn't say anything. A moment later, she suddenly wrapped her arms around my waist from behind. It happened so fast I couldn't stop her. I held my breath, my hands moving to pry her fingers off me. But then I heard a muffled sob from behind me, and for a second, I relaxed. In that instant, Chloe spun around in front of me, grabbed the back of my neck, and pulled my head down to kiss me. Her warm breath ghosted across my lips. For a moment, I was too stunned to struggle. That split second was all the opening she needed. She tried to deepen the kiss. I immediately shoved her away and without thinking, slapped her hard across the face. We stood apart, both breathing heavily. For a moment, the only sounds were our ragged breaths and the whispers of passers-by. "Are you insane?" I hissed. Chloe held a hand to her cheek, but she was smiling, a strange look of satisfaction on her face. "Then just consider me insane." Then she whispered another apology. "I'm sorry." She'd said that a lot tonight. I'd never gotten such treatment before. I wiped my mouth. "An apology won't fix this." She smiled like a child who knew they'd gotten away with something. "Then how about I stick by your side and pay you back for the rest of my life?" I pursed my lips, too disgusted to say anything more. I quickly stepped around her and walked away. I picked up my pace, walking faster and faster, terrified she would follow me. From behind, I heard her call out, "See you later." The second I got home, I stripped off my clothes and threw them in the washing machine, then stepped into the shower. My friend who'd set me up sent me a text. "Did you and your girlfriend make up?" I sent back a single word, "Fuck off." Then I followed it up with, "If you ever help her get to me again, you can eat chows off too." He didn't seem to get it and pestered me for the whole story. I thought for a moment, then typed out a simple reply. I was just her free servant. After he heard everything, he was furious on my behalf. "That's messed up. I'm sorry, man. I won't be that stupid again. A love like that, not even a dog would want it." I couldn't help but let out a dry, bitter laugh. For all those years, wasn't I that dog? The next day, when he briefed me on my meeting schedule, I nodded, taking it all in. But when I walked into the conference room, I saw Chloe. I was surprised. So when she said her project had gone well, she wasn't lying. Otherwise, she never would have had the chance to be here negotiating with me. I leaned back in my chair, spinning a pen between my fingers as I listened to her present her project analysis and plans. It was genuinely impressive. The profit margins were skewed heavily in my company's favor. After the meeting, she followed me out. "So, do you like my gift?" "I'm starving. Can we get something to eat?" I had Wendy order her some food. I ate at my desk while she sat across from me. She ate very slowly. I ignored her and focused on my work. Eventually, the meal had to end. She cleaned up her spot and looked at me, her voice tinged with a pleading tone. "Ethan, I'm heading back soon. Will you come see me off?" I didn't answer. We'll be working together in the future, you know. At the end of the day, it was hard for me to say no to money. I grunted, which she took as a yes. The drive to the airport was silent. When I pulled up to the departures curb, Chloe's tears started to fall, and she couldn't stop them. Can we get along like we used to? For the sake of the partnership, I suppose we can, I said. She took a sharp breath. No, not like that. I mean, like before, I said nothing. In a flustered motion, she held out her hand. Then, let's start over. It's like we're meeting for the first time. My name is Chloe Vance. My patience had worn thin. You should go, I said. I'll see you at work. I gave a small wave and drove off without looking back. Back at the office, I threw myself back into my work. After a few weeks, I finally found some time to call my grandma. She said she missed me and was thinking of coming up to Portland to visit. She asked if I had time. Of course I had time. Worried about her traveling alone, I immediately had Winnie fly out to our old hometown to pick her up. Before she arrived, I postponed every meeting I could and worked overtime to clear my schedule, freeing up 3 full days. When Grandma arrived, she brought a suitcase full of homemade jams and preserves. She held my hands and looked me up and down for a long time. My dear boy, it's been so long since Grandma's seen you. It was true. Back in San Francisco, no matter how busy I was, I went back to see her every single week. Chloe would even come with me sometimes. After a few days, my grandma decided to stay for a while. She kept my face in her hands, her eyes full of concern. My boy, you've gotten so thin since you moved here. I smiled and agreed, and we went out and bought everything she would need for a long-term stay. With her there, life felt comfortable and easy again. The seasons changed, spring turning to fall, and my weight started to climb. Even Wendy, who was over all the time, couldn't help but complain. Your grandma's cooking is too good. I think I've gained 10 LABs. Soon it was Christmas. I gave the entire company a month-long holiday, and then I took my grandma back to our hometown to celebrate. After we arrived, the first person to show up at our door unexpectedly was Chloe's friend, Sarah. Can you please go see her? She begged. She stopped eating and she has cancer. The doctors say she doesn't have much time left. I managed a small, cold smile. If she's sick, she should see a doctor. Sarah looked furious, but reined in. No matter what happened, you two grew up together. She's been asking for you constantly. I felt like I'd heard this 1,000 times. I shut the door in her face. Grandma heard the commotion and asked, Was that the Vance girl? I was curious. Has she been here to see you? Oh, yes, she comes by often, Grandma said. She pulled me aside and told me everything. After I left, Chloe tried to find my grandma. The first time was a phone call. The second time, she showed up at the house demanding my address. Grandma refused and even tried to chase her off with a broom. Chloe just stood there and took it, getting hit several times. Tears streamed down her face, but she didn't flinch. I just want to know where he is, she'd said. Grandma couldn't deal with her, so she just locked the door and ignored her. But Chloe surprisingly was persistent. The next time Grandma walked out to her garden, she found it had already been tilled. When she got back to the house, there was a fresh fish on her doorstep. The whole yard had been swept clean. This went on for days until one afternoon when Grandma fell in the house. Chloe was the one who found her, took her to the hospital, and stayed to take care of her. Grandma was so moved by this that she finally gave Chloe my address in Portland. Grandma patted my hand. I know this might sound like I'm pressuring you, but that girl was very good to me. Since she's in trouble, you should go see her just once. Consider repaying this kindness on my behalf. I nodded and agreed. Then I immediately opened the front door, startling Sarah, who had her hand raised to knock again. I'll go. Sarah, both shocked and relieved, drove me to the hospital where Chloe was staying. I never expected to find myself in an oncology ward. The treatments had taken their toll. Chloe was gaunt and frail. When she saw me, she quickly pulled on a nick cap, unable to meet my eyes. Why are you here? She whispered. Sarah took her hand, her voice thick with emotion. I told him what you wouldn't. As she spoke, she started to cry. I stood by the bed. How have you been? Chloe's eyes widened with a flicker of hope. Are you worried about me? I'm doing fine. My voice was flat. Thank you for taking care of my grandma. I'm just here to repay her debt of gratitude. I placed the thermos of soup I brought on the nightstand. She made this for you. You should drink it while it's hot. The light in Chloe's eyes went out. She twisted her fingers in her lap and nodded repeatedly. A heavy silence fell between us. I couldn't stand being there any longer. I said a quick goodbye and left. Just as the door clicked shut behind me, I heard a sob from inside the room. I'm sorry. I felt nothing. Later, I heard that Chloe didn't make it through the holidays. The word was that she'd simply lost the will to live, and nothing anyone did could help. Sometime after, Grandma and I went to pay our respects. In the picture on her headstone, she was smiling, her face full of life. It was a shocking end to it all. I sighed, and with my grandma by my side, we walked home under the morning.